Get your questions in early. I'm finding that more and more the questions start compounding as we get towards the end of the time, which I would like to try to hold to 90 minutes. I know it's almost impossible for me, but nonetheless, that would be great. But what surprises me is that as we're going through and answering questions, right? It's going, the dialogues are going on. As we get towards the end, there should be less questions. If you have the idea that somehow the answer I give to one person isn't your answer, you may even, check out for a bit, or look at something else, or get distracted in some way while you wait for your question to be answered. The fact of the matter is, we're all asking the same question, and I'm always trying to address it in the most general terms, so we don't get stuck in the idea that somehow, while my or your circumstances are different, the essential thing that we're all struggling with is exactly the same in every single instance. No matter what the particular symptom or presentation of the problem going on in your life is, at its essence, is always the same thing. It's always, what's the best way to put this? It's always about the sense of identity. It's who you think you are. Our sense of identity determines everything else in our lives. And the sense of identity needs to be looked at as the primary belief around which all other beliefs are orbiting. So if you think, I've got this belief of lack, or I've got mother issues, or any of those such things, those are symptoms of identity, of who you believe yourself to be, which is why the emphasis in this path is self-inquiry. We're inquiring into the nature of the self, that is, who I believe myself to be, as opposed to who I really am. And to get to who you really are, you do have to go through all of the ways, in essence, that I have been identified with and living out and embodying who I'm not. Now, this identity that you have, right, was not created by you, per se. Nobody sat down, I'm sure nobody here looked back on your life. I sat down one day and I said, okay, this is what I'm going to be like from now on. Nobody did that. Maybe later in life you got into one of those, manifestation courses or something where they told you to do that and create a new year. Who do you want to be, 5 years from now? What do you want your life to look like? And then find it incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to actually attain. So this sense of identity emerged right out of our direct experience and that we had mostly as children, the way we were treated, the environment we grew up in, the culture, the rules, the morality, and the like. The sense of identity formed very early, before there was any consciousness to say yes or no about it. It's actually, if you want to look at it more in the realm of emotional healing or energy healing or psychology, the identity was actually formed as a sense of self projected upon how you were conditioned to be. Imagine a dog that's been abandoned, right? And it's terrified of humans. So it just sees a human in the distance, and it begins to panic. Now, that dog didn't create that reaction, and if it had the consciousness to form an identity, which they don't, as far as we know, they would have thought of themselves as a scaredy cat, right? Or I hate humans, I don't want to be anywhere near them, and run off someplace. But they don't. They're purely driven by their instincts, which makes them relatively easy to get out of that state and bring them into a state where they can accept being loved and liked. The human being is different. We form an identity based on that. And so, I hate humans. You can't trust them. That feeling, that energetic reaction to the seeing of them in the distance. And I think you can look in back in your life, and you can see this is how it happened. You didn't create it. You didn't make this stuff up. It happened all by itself, and it remains the dominant influence, the dominant thing in your life, until, if and when, some kind of an awakening takes place, and something begins to arise in your consciousness that begins to question who you are. And even at the beginning, we don't really realize that who we are, that sense of who we are, is still dominating. But just this new little bit of light has gotten in, which is why they call it an awakening. That's beginning to question, but it doesn't question everything, right? It questions circumstances and people. It usually starts at this level before it works itself down, and usually doesn't work itself down unless you run into a true teacher, somebody who is experienced and able to guide you through the process, to get you to question the identity itself. When you begin to do that, you realize that the problems you're facing and the struggles and everything are all arising out of the simple fact that the sense of self has identified itself with conditioning, and that the only way to find permanent happiness, permanent contentment, and a real end to the suffering of our problems is to come to see, who are you? What was there before the conditioning? And this path goes even beyond that. At that level, you're really still in the realm of emotional healing, but this path, the path of non-dual self-inquiry, takes it even further. The famous Zen koan, who were you? What did you look like before your parents were born? Who were you prior even to incarnating into this particular form, which had its own characteristics, right? There's a sense of identity that is there before conditioning takes place. Your gender, right? How tall you are, your various talents and gifts and the like. Those also are potentially limitations, depending on how well that meets with the environment. But there's a deeper sense of self that is prior even to that, prior to all of it. And we can all get in touch with it very simply by just noticing your own sense of being, sense that I am. And just the fact that I am, which we don't pay much attention to. That fact, I am, has been there the whole time, your whole life. Just look at it. You're 5 years old, 20 years old. Doesn't matter. It's always been there, and it's always been the same. The fact of the matter is, it was there in every one of your past lives. If you go for that sort of thing, you don't have to. It doesn't matter. But if you do, in every single life you had, it would have been the same. The same sense of my own presence, my own existence, would have been there throughout that entire life, even though in that life, I was this person, right? Now I'm this person. And guess what? After this particular form that you're in right now, sees the end of its days and makes another one, it'll identify with that one, and also, and completely forget about this one, which right now seems like it's so important. So, when I'm giving answers, I'm trying to give the answers at a level that will meet everyone's problems, because they all have the same root. Now, it isn't always the same pathway. Matter of fact, it's never the same pathway everybody takes to get back to the root, because every circumstance is different. But if we recognize, first and foremost, that where we're headed is always the same, then the guidance you get, the advice you get from myself or any real teacher, is going to do the job. It's going to be pointing to there, to who you really are, which is here, and in fact is active. It's been who you are, and it's been active in your entire life. It's just that the sense of identity misinterpreted the action of your true, authentic self, and everything that was going on in the life, and projected upon it this fictitious sense of self, which we can call the person. The person I think I am, the self-concept, the self-image. So, on that note, I will dive in to the questions as I watch them. I watch them scrolling, and say hello to people. Rosario, Madrid. Good to see you, Mary. Hello, Mary. Namaste to you, Ava. And yes, I haven't forgotten. I haven't forgotten. So thank you. I will get that to you. And Jonas asked as well, so I will get that to you. Hello, David Yeager. Good to see you. Brent, missed you the last couple of weeks. You're gonna get in trouble for not showing up to class. David and Elaine, hello to you. And hello to Dorte in Denmark, and Carl in Ireland, and Melissa. Hi, Melissa. Mary Sykes, are we here for ascension? Lots of deeper esoteric teachings teach that we are to work towards ascension and move from reincarnating back to Earth's schoolroom. Let's see. I find that those teachings are great on one hand, but then there seems to be an urgency to purify, raise our consciousness higher so that we move above our humanity. Yeah. Okay. As always, I am never one to criticize any particular path, because the path that people are on is the path that they're meant to be on. For now. There's no such thing as a teaching that is the absolute truth. And so I take all of them with a grain of salt, because they have a temporary function. As Buddha pointed out, you don't get into when you get into a boat, you go across the lake. When you get on the other side of the lake, you don't pick up the boat and carry it with you. It's done its job. You're done. The boat has served its purpose. That particular teaching, that particular practice has served its purpose. And all of them eventually get to self-inquiry. And I can say that, well, isn't that just another teaching, just another practice that you're going to have to abandon? No, the difference is it's not a teaching. It's not a practice. I'm inviting you to simply look. Looking. That's not about, you're not practicing looking, right? You need to know where to look, right? Which is all there is to the teaching. And then to be able to make the proper understanding and interpretation of what you see. But you're not, practicing to learn a skill. You're not gaining knowledge to accomplish or acquire anything. You're not trying to get above humanity. You're not trying to ascend. Those are great words within the context. I'm not trying to ascend. I'm trying to find out who I am. And who I am doesn't need to ascend. It's already absolute, pure, perfect, pristine, beautiful, infinite, boundless. There's no place for it to ascend to. So ascension could only apply to the sense of a person, which, when you look at the sense of the person closely, you find out it's just a bunch of thoughts. And a bunch of thoughts don't ascend. So from the point of view of non-dual self-inquiry, of the absolute, there is no ascension. All of these esoteric teachings take you to be an independent spiritual being working towards a higher goal. Maybe that higher goal is some level of heaven. Maybe it's oneness with God. But it takes this being to be real, who you actually are, going through all of these processes to get somewhere. The standpoint of non-duality and self-inquiry is, it's not who you are. You've never been that. It's a fictitious character created by the mind, and it ain't going anywhere. Who am I is the question that says, am I just this person going through, soul contracts and agreements and soul learning and stuff to eventually, at some point, God knows when, how many eons into the future, I'm going to attain ascension? Or is that just a bunch of thoughts about me? What's the truth of me? Because the truth is not something that has to ascend. The truth is the only thing you could ascend to. Because the truth is the truth. It is what is. So the esoteric teachings are not the same as this path. So I would ask you specifically, because I know you look to me as your teacher, and say, who is it that's going to ascend? Right? Yeah. Show me the one that's going to ascend. Show me yourself, that is this person that's going to ascend. And then show me what this looked like before this life and after this life. Show me her, him, whatever. Right? If you can show me a reality of the spiritual being, then I might be able to go, then the goal is to ascend through all sorts of disciplines and practices and things like that. But if you can't actually show it to me, maybe that's because it doesn't exist. It's just a thought. A thought that's taken root. We believe it. We've believed it into an embodiment. I'm embodying it as if it were true. I'm living this whole thing out. In the meantime, all I'm doing is postponing the inevitable, which is to turn back towards me. Because where else am I going to find me than here? And if I can make a better version of me, right, and then ascend, well, do I ascend after that? Is that this level? And then I'm going to ascend to another level? Is this version of me going to be the ultimate version of me? If that was the case, how many thousands of lives have we had, and we're still here? We're still doing this, right? Look at this life and the things that you've acquired, the things that you've learned, the insights that you've had. Right? What more is there? It's all changeable. It's unstable. The sense of a person, even a very aware person, a very advanced person, a person with a totally sattvic and compassionate, and just always does everything right and never hurts anything or anyone. It's just a person, and it's unstable, and it's going to change. It's going to change. Look, everything changes. You want to find reality, find that which doesn't change, because the truth cannot be changeful. Truth cannot have been false and now become true. So the truth of you must be here and now. That's what we want to find. That's what this path is all about. There is nothing to gain. There's no place you're going to get to. There's no heaven waiting or nirvana as a place. That's not what it actually means. There's nothing you ascend to. There's nothing you get out of. It is the realization that you've never been in the wheel in the first place. That's the way out. It's not we discover this thing, grow into this thing, and suddenly I'm now free from birth, right? No. You realize that you, the reality of you, was never born in the first place. Didn't incarnate or reincarnate. That is all just the appearance on the screen, and you are now, and I've always been, the pure witness of it. There's not even enlightenment to attain. Because if enlightenment could be attained, it could also be lost, which means it's here and now. And we're not seeing it. The only thing, we're not seeing it because we keep thinking of ourselves as a person on a path to get somewhere. So, and this applies to all the practices, which is why when you encounter this teaching, no matter who it comes from, when it's the real deal, this is an auspicious life. This is where you go, oh my God, thank you. This is it. This is the final step. Every other step I had to make, all right, according to the unfoldment or the development of the person. But this is the one that shows you the way out of the person. And so it is an auspicious life for every one of you that's here. Every one of you that has heard and heeded this. Which is what happened to me. I heard it and I heeded it. Struggled with it for a while. Wanted to make a better person. Wanted to, have all the things a person in the human life is supposed to have. The success and the perfect relationship. The cue of the violins and roses everywhere. It's like, oh no, that's not what this is. And eventually the true teachings really did sink in it. And I said, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Grace, pure grace. God knows how many more lifetimes could have gone on. But for you, there aren't that many, if any. So thank you, Mary. I hope that answers it for you. Yeah. If not, I'm sure I'll hear. I'm sure I'll hear. Marie. Oh God, how could I? So because I can't pronounce your last name. From Italy. Ciao. And ciao to you. David says, we get braver towards the end, GP. Maybe so, yeah. Kuhulika, boy, you're getting to be a regular. I love it. I love seeing you. I love seeing you. There's Jay. Kathy Fitzgibbon. Katie Fitzgibbon. How to deal with deep despair and grief. Relocated 5 years ago and longing for returning home. Even with self-inquiry, I can't seem to accept my current circumstance. All right. The point of self-inquiry and allowing this sense of to just really come to peace with my circumstances, right? Doesn't mean that you're stuck with those circumstances forever, right? In fact, you know you won't be, because everything changes, right? So the sense of home and the sense of stuckness doesn't really have anything to do with the circumstances. So when you're doing self-inquiry about that, the question would be, right, you see, I can't accept my current circumstances. So just be with me here as we walk through this. And everybody pay attention to this, because I know a bunch of you here are feeling the same kind of thing. We get stuck in our lives where no matter what I do, no matter what technique I apply, or no matter how much I inquire, right? So there's this stuckness, this circumstance. I just can't seem to let go of wanting the circumstances to change. Okay, good. So the first thing is you look at it, just take a step back and look at it. Here are the circumstances, right? I relocated 5 years ago. Or, I got a new job and here I am. That's the circumstance, right? And it's not satisfying. I'm not happy there. It's not really what I want, right? Now, that's okay, right? There's nothing that says that human beings, we have to absolutely accept everything and say, I don't want that. Right? So we acknowledge that this is what it is, and this is how I am feeling. This is the feelings that are there, right? Now, you don't have to change those feelings that I don't like this, or this isn't for me, to I like it, it is for me, or even it's okay, I can tolerate it, I'll be okay. You don't have to manipulate your emotions in order to do self-inquiry. Self-inquiry is for self-realization. So we're inquiring into the I that doesn't want to accept the circumstances. Right? And until you do that, there will be this conflict, because on one hand, we'll be trying to get rid of our very natural human impulses. Say, I like this, I don't like this. Of course, right? I wore this shirt today. Right? Why? Because I like it. I wanted to wear it today. I'm having a latte. Why? Because I like it. I want to have it. Right? There's nothing wrong with it. It's totally innocent, isn't it? It's in and of itself, it's free of suffering. Right? But then there's this other sense there that says, I'm stuck here. I can't get out of this. There's nothing I can do about it. And there are times in our lives when we can't. Maybe you have a job that you hate, but the money's good, and you've got responsibilities. Maybe you've got a family. Right? Maybe you've got debt. Maybe you've got something else that's more important to you. So all of these things factor in. They're all just a part of. These are the actual circumstances. Right? Now, what's causing the sense of suffering that? And that's what you're talking about. If there wasn't a sense of suffering, you wouldn't be trying to do self-inquiry. You wouldn't be trying to accept your current circumstances. What you're really trying to do is to be free of suffering. Right? So, I don't want the sense to just accept things as they are, to be a sense of resignation or that I need to endure the suffering. You just go, okay, this is what is here. Right? Now, take a step back and go, there's these feelings, right? There's the fact that I'm in this situation. Then there's the feelings about that situation. Right? So now what we've just done is I've removed you, that sense of I, from being identified with that. I just can't seem to accept my circumstance. There's a feeling there that doesn't want that circumstance. Right? Take a step back and suddenly you'll see I'm aware of that feeling. So that feeling isn't me either. Right? Then you may become aware of a very strong pull, silent, invisible, that's pulling you towards identifying with that position. I can't accept this. I don't want this. Right? Something pulls you towards it. Now, if you just keep moving backwards and notice that the pull is there, but become aware of this. It's a force of identification that wants to take a position about what's happening. Okay? If you step back from that and see that, you can step into the place of the neutral, the absolutely neutral but loving witness, the pure witnessing that does not have an investment in one side or the other winning. This has got to go, this has got to stay, this has got to change, this has not got to change. It doesn't have an investment in one side or the other. It's not that it doesn't care, right? It's just, think of it as the world's best negotiator, the world's best mediator, right? Completely unbiased, right? Not that it doesn't recognize that there's conflict here, there's stuff going on, but it isn't taking a side, right? It's not like showing up in a negotiation and finding out that the negotiator is the other guy's lawyer. Right? Ooh, not very comfortable, is it? Now, as you sink in to that neutral, loving witness, which I also call the peacemaker, because it doesn't have an agenda. It doesn't have an axe to grind. You will immediately feel a sense of relief. Right? Maybe slight, but there'll be a sense of, oh, I don't have to fight over this. I don't have to work this out. I don't have to decide which side has to be right. I don't have to accept the circumstances, and I don't have to reject them. Both of those are energies that I am perceiving. Even that sense of being stuck is being perceived. And again, the point I really want to keep drawing everybody's attention to is that we're always going to have these strong emotional feelings. There are going to be times in our life when we're stuck, right? It is when we really can't make a move, right? It does happen. Suddenly, there really isn't anything I can do, at least apparently in this moment. Right? What to become aware of is this silent influence, this impulse to identify, and for you to become that energy, or in opposition to that energy. I'm stuck. I've got to get out of it, right? Which is simply another position driven by the same energy. And you can even feel that, okay, I've got to accept my current circumstances. And then underneath there's this little feeling, then I'll get out of them, right? You will get out of them eventually because everything changes. Right? While you're here, you can live up to the deeper purpose of your life, the reason you're here, and the whole point of self-inquiry. And that's to use that to discover, who am I in this? Where's the I? Can I liberate the sense of I from all of the drama and turmoil of the circumstances of my life, and find the I, the real me, that's never stuck, that's never discontent, that's never frustrated, right? Because that's the truth of you. Right? The infinite self, God, Buddha nature, is not arguing with any circumstance. It knows inherently its own infinite freedom, and therefore nothing disturbs it. It doesn't need circumstances for it to feel free. You don't actually need any change of circumstance to feel free. You have to liberate the I from that tendency to take a position, take a form, take a shape, become a person with a point of view, right, for it or against it, that then has to defend that point of view and is unhappy when that point of view isn't dominating the scene. You're not that I. That is the identity that is identified with the conditioning, the circumstances, the person, the limited sense of self, and you're not the limited sense of self. The very fact that you can look at the various feelings, the various thoughts, the whole dynamic of the circumstance, and even notice the pull to want to take a position, the very fact that you can see that is the evidence that it's not you. I'm something else. Now, become more interested in that something else that's witnessing it than what's on the screen, and the liberation will be complete. You're not looking to, who am I really, in order to bring about a change, because that's just another position. When you're looking at it, so that I can know the truth of me, you are firmly on the path. And notice it's not a teaching, it's not a practice, it's a looking. I'm just looking, and oh, look, I'm not the same as I'm looking at those. I must be something else. What is that? I want to know. That's the path inward. Thank you for that question, Katie. And it was a long-winded reply, but I think that would cover it for a lot of folks, because this is the process of self-inquiry. And we get all wrapped up in the various kinds of circumstances, thinking that somehow the end result is always going to be the circumstances change. Well, they will. But you actually don't want them to until they've served their purpose, which is to point you back towards yourself, back to the reality of you. And if that is your highest desire, your deepest desire for genuine spiritual freedom, genuine immortality, then this is the path you take. This is the way you to do it, because this is always, circumstances are always coming and going. This one will change. You'll go somewhere else, you'll feel very comfortable, and then something else will come up, because that's the nature of life. That's the nature of life. It's forever changing. We're here to find what isn't changing. And that just happens to be the real you. All right. Moving on, I see the questions compounding here. Take another sip of my latte. Hi, G, looking great. Hey, thanks. How does one reconcile formless awareness being another form? Is awareness not the same background presence, but this very physical world appears here, including Brent? Thanks. Okay. The mind will always come up with some kind of an image. If I tell you to just look into pure space. Just space. What is space? Right? Immediately your mind will present some image of space. It'll be subtle, it'll be rarefied, right? But space without any objects in it, you can't picture it, right? Although your mind will. Awareness, which is the nature, the actual fact of your being, because it is only awareness that makes anything else possible. If there's no awareness, what? You wouldn't be aware of me. I could give you everything in the entire world, right? But if you had no consciousness, it would mean absolutely nothing. So consciousness, awareness, is at the root of it. Now, because awareness is now a word that's used quite a lot, especially in this world, it has grown to be a concept. Formless awareness now. Oh, how do I reconcile formless awareness? You can't. It's the only thing you can reconcile are two objects that you can try to bring together. You cannot perceive awareness because you are awareness. The eye cannot see itself. I don't care how hard it tries. It cannot see itself. And that's just a pointer to awareness is aware. It has no shape, no form, no location. It doesn't exist in time or space. Therefore, it is not any object that can possibly be conceived. It has no attributes whatsoever. Every attribute is something perceived. They are all attributes of awareness. But look at it this way. Yeah, maybe this happened. Quote unquote physical world. Imagine that you are music. I'm music. Right? Not a piece of music, not a song, but music. The place all music, every song form comes from. Right? Can you picture music without humming a tune or beating out a groove or right? Can you? Yet everyone recognizes music when they see it. Everyone. They don't have to speak the same language. Oh yeah. We don't know what the instruments are, don't know the language, nothing like that. But there it is. Right? And it's all what? Music. So imagine you are that music. Can you know yourself? Can you picture yourself? Of course not. All the forms, you can say, yeah, I'm that and that. I'm that song. I'm this symphony. I'm all of that, and I'm not that. Obviously, because I didn't get inside it and get lost. It's emanating from me. Right? But I can't see me. Right? So awareness is not a background presence, because now you've got two again. It's a presence somewhere, and I'm here with this in this physical world that appears here, including Brent. Right? It is only awareness that is aware. It is aware of Brent. Right? There's this entity called Brent, but it's not physical. Right? It's an emanation, like a song, or a piece of music from music. But you're not Brent. Brent has no existence. The world has no actual existence. It's only subjective. On any level, you can see that it's only subjective. I don't see the whole world as it is. Right? It's infinitely varied. Right? The fact of the matter is there isn't even a world here. There's only our subjective perception. And that subjective perception believes that it's a world when in fact it's nothing but the movements of consciousness. There's no world there at all. And what is aware of that consciousness, that sense of a world? the fact there is no world, the illusion and the reality, what's aware of that? That's awareness. Simple as that. The awareness right now, right, that you keep calling Brent, that is aware of me speaking right now, is the awareness. It's not something you have to get to. It's not something you have to try to become. That's it. The mind calls it a person, calls it awareness, wants to reconcile. There's all sorts of ideas about it, which it itself, and creates a believer in those ideas, all of which is being witnessed by awareness, completely free, formless, boundless, infinite, eternal. And that awareness is not something out there somewhere, everyone. It is the thing that's hearing my words right now. In other words, you. You are that awareness. Take your awareness away, and everything disappears, doesn't it? It's gone. Doesn't exist. Without your consciousness, none of this exists. Boom. It's kind of like the whole deal. There's just this idea that awareness, aware of itself, which is the universe, has an objective existence. It's something out there, this world that we're perceiving, the universe and all of that, doesn't exist outside of awareness. It is awareness aware of itself. You aware of you. Does that help, Brent? Please let me know. I mean, zoomed on. Oh my goodness. Wow. Wow. What I should do is start at the bottom and work my way up. Just kind of see if I can pull things together so that maybe I can combine some stuff here. Tomas, hi from Czech Republic. Good to see you. Good to see you. And there's Peter in Italy. We got folks from Poland here too. Yay. Jay, when I woke up, my usual go-to is check the phone, but instead I was going to sit and just observe everything happening internally. My next thought was, oh yeah, there's that one video of detachment Muji spoke about that I forgot to post in one of our groups. So I picked up my phone, and then it was one thought after another. My initial reaction to that was, oh shoot, well next time I won't do that. But then another thought came up, well, more like recognition. Just bring the attention back now. Yep, that's it. You caught it. Right? It's like, you wake up in the morning, what happens? It's like the mind is waiting there. Well, it's about time you got up. Immediately, the thoughts start going. So what do? Well, that decision you made, okay, I'm just going to observe things, right? And then you notice that something did grab your attention. Right? That is, what it grabbed was, remember, the mind, with its objects and habit patterns and all of that, cannot grab awareness. It can't grab. Awareness can't be contained. The mind can't grab control over it and force it, distract it, send it off somewhere on a wild goose chase. So, all the while, awareness, who you really are, was there, witnessing the sense that says, I'm just going to sit and observe everything happening internally. Observable, isn't it? It's perceivable. This is just life unfolding. And then the next thought, one video detachment. And then the one who got absorbed into it forgot for a moment and then came and then said, oh, wait a minute, I'll do it next time. All of that was observed. None of those I's. I'm going to sit, right? My thought was this. Muji spoke about that. I forgot to put it into the group. I picked it up. And then, oh my God, I just got lost in it. I'll try again. I won't do that next time. All of those eyes aren't you. You are the pure awareness, sees each one of those eyes, but you didn't recognize it. You didn't recognize all of those eyes are appearing, but that impulse to identify as the eye was there. So you didn't notice that you were that. The awareness has been there the entire time. Remember, we're bringing the sense of I back to the reality of it, which is the pure awareness. But you can see, what you do that is you see that while it felt as if I was completely mesmerized and lost in this whole train of thought, that all of it was being observed from this other place, my true place, and I was none of those. That's the person. That's the subtlety of the sense of a person. Got it, Jay? Let's see. There's Tiffany in Switzerland. Hello, Tiffany. So good to see you. Carl, can the body express, hold all of consciousness, or just a percentage? For example, if we put identity aside, is that presence, all of consciousness, or just what the body can allow in that moment? Thanks. The body can't hold consciousness because the body is consciousness. It exists as consciousness. There is no body separate from consciousness that somehow consciousness is inhabiting. Right? There's not this body here and then consciousness inhabiting it or influencing it. The body is itself an image in consciousness. And when that is seen, the body will also lose a lot of its limitations. Our beliefs about the body limit it, just like they limit our beliefs about ourselves. So putting identity aside only means that I am no longer seeing myself as the body and the mind, that I am the consciousness, and body, mind, all of that is, and even identity, are appearing to that consciousness. But they don't exist independently of the consciousness, because the conscious disappears, so do they. And they have no objective existence. They come and go. They change all the time. They're just this passing show all of the time. So all of that is just movements in consciousness made of consciousness, which is the only substance there is. Everything is made of that, of consciousness, the sense I am. And beyond the sense of I am is that which is the absolute. That even the sense I am couldn't be there unless you were there first. Because it's a sense of being, the sense of consciousness. So putting identity aside simply means you are putting off all suffering and limitations that have appeared and been believed in consciousness. And you are freeing consciousness from that, so we can make the return trip back to the absolute awareness. That is what all of this is happening, and you're not even doing it. Consciousness is. Grace in consciousness is actually doing all of this. Asking the questions, and it's answering the questions. It's opening every opening. Everything has been this unthinkable love, taking care of you and guiding you, the sense of I, back to the reality of you, which is the pure infinite awareness. Tomas, Pakinka, how do you accept conditions in the body without giving up? While the mind is constantly trying to find a solution, accusing of not doing enough, etc., how to find a balance between surrender and doing, wanting to change condition without anxiety about the result that is not coming. Thank you. Yeah. The suffering is caused, well, Nisargadatta, as he always did, put it very beautifully. There was a person, a very well-educated person who was there, listening to him speak, and he said, "Sir, I resonate. Everything you say, it feels true to me. But if I'm going to be honest, I'm always experiencing suffering." Now, I think you're probably, and many people here are in the same position. Right? This does resonate. I get it. But I'm always experiencing suffering. His answer, which came unhesitatingly, he said, "No, you are not experiencing suffering. You are suffering your experience." You're not asked to accept a condition in the body. You do not have to say, this is the way it's always going to be, which is to say, to accept it. It's always going to be this way. I just have to resign myself to it. Because it's not always going to be that way. Matter of fact, we sat together for a little bit. You would notice it changing almost constantly. There's a consistency to it, and that it isn't going away. It isn't completely transforming into its absence. But if you look at whatever the condition is, you'll notice that it is not constant. It's like a wave. It's kind of moving. It's intense, up, down, coming and going. Right? So you don't have to accept it as a fact, right? Because the acceptance of it a fact is the mind, first off, and then the mind tries to find a solution to it. Now, try to feel it just from the point of view of the body, without the mind at all. The body doesn't see it as something it has to accept, or giving up or not giving up. It's just a feeling. The body's just, this is experience in this moment. The body also doesn't have a memory of it, the past or the future. It's just right now. This is here. Right? Body has no name for it. Has no a sense of its nature. Right? Doesn't have any idea as to what should or should not be done about it. It's just pure feeling. Right? Just be with that for a moment, and recognize that everything else about it, past, future, how to get rid of, where it's going to go, when it's going to end, or any of that is all thought added on to the pure experience that's in this moment. Step one, just be present with what is actually here without a story behind it. Even a story about how do I find the balance between surrender and doing, right? And just notice then that everything your mind says is made up. Right? It's an opinion. It's an idea gathered from somewhere, somebody, some authority, or something you heard somewhere. That's all it is. And has nothing to do with the reality of your circumstance, which is, I am having this experience. I am experiencing this in the body. So put aside all the ideas, because if there is a solution to come, it's not going to come from the mind, because if it had one, it would have given it to you. It's going to come from somewhere else. The body itself, or that energy that we call the body, will reveal exactly what it needs in every given moment if you pay attention to it, which we don't. We think we know better, and we got to do this, and this. So you're accepting the condition as it is, and there, yep, it's there. It's not like I have to accept. It's like this condition. It is here, right? I experience it as a particular set of sensations and like. You can also accept the very natural desire that you or anybody else is going to have, which is, I want to be free of it. Right? Now that desire to be free of it is not the mind. That is the nature of life itself. It wants to be free to grow and express, to be free of pain, to be able to function the way life was meant to function. So it's not a thought. So you don't have to find a solution to it. You don't have to think about it. It's just there. Oh, okay. There's this condition, these feelings, and this desire. Now, you just sit in the middle of those for a moment. Just sit in the middle of the two of those. I call that the place of the peacemaker. Right? And what have you just done? If you do that, really acknowledge, yep, I want to be free, but I'm not going to grab hold of it and fight with the condition. And the condition is here, but I'm not just going to like resign myself that this is it, this is the nature of my life. They're both there, right? And you're sitting in the middle. You are now sitting in the balance between surrender and doing. Exactly where you asked to be. There it is. You have accepted the circumstance, the reality of the circumstances, not the thoughts about them, as they actually are. This is here, and I want to be free. And you're not, which is surrender, right? Which is, what is surrender? Oh, I give up. No, it's like, this is here. This is what's here. It's not even a surrender like it's a simple acknowledgement. Yeah, this is what it is. Right? And there's the willingness there to do, right? When you know what the hell to do. So there's the balance. There it is. Right? Is this resonating with you, Thomas? Right? And so you can see just staying there, you'll notice that the anxiety about the result lessens, if not disappears, because that's all coming from the mind and all the ideas about what it's supposed to be and how it's supposed to look, and I can't get there, and I don't have an answer, I need an answer. All of that drama that's creating all the anxiety and stress, right? You've left that behind. You're actually present with the reality of your circumstances in that moment. And notice the desire to be free of whatever, however that comes, right, can get kind of bent out of shape by the mind to say, I want to change the condition. No, I want to be free. The condition is the condition. It needs to, if it needs to be here, it needs to be here. I want to be free of suffering. And if this has to be here, I still want to be free of suffering. If this is for the rest of my life, I still want to be free of suffering. So now we've detached the desire to be free from a condition that says, I have to get rid of this in order to be free. This is what Nisargadatta meant. You're not experiencing suffering, you're suffering your experience. What a difference. If I'm experiencing suffering, there's nothing I can do about it. If I'm suffering my experience, there is something I can do about it. I can look more closely. I can look deeper, right? Which is what we just done. Tomas, let me know. How did that work for you? And again, I'm going to point it out. I've just answered everybody's question a couple of times. Right? Really, look and see. I'm not telling you have to withdraw your questions or delete or anything like that. I'm just trying to point out that it always comes down to this, right? That we are accepting the conceptual or the intellectual or our thought, our story about what's happening with what's actually happening. We're not seeing what's actually happening. Again, this is why this is not a practice. It's a looking. We want to look at what's actually here when I take away the story about it. All the assumptions I had about what this is, I find I have the direct experience of it, and I don't need to refer to something outside. All right. Robbie in Romania, good to see you. Good to see you. Mary says, already I thank you for your answer. I've been burdened with what it's about, these teachings, for fear of missing or escape from I guess, doing the supposed work. Yeah, there's no work to do. You're already that. The only work to do is to become really, really conscious of that and notice that, oh, good Lord, I've been identifying with that again. That's the only effort that there is. And it's not that hard work, is it? I keep telling everybody, this is the lazy man's religion and lazy woman's religion. Sign me up. So all of those teachings are more or less giving me way too much information that is burdening. Yes. In your case, yes. I might not say that to somebody else. It may be something they need to go through. But if they do, the odds are they're not going to be appearing here. If they appear here, it's because they're ready to go beyond it. And you have been. But please, as these things pop up and grab you emotionally, please keep telling me so we can look together and dismantle them. For crying out loud, in the Heart Sutra, the Buddha even said it's his own, all the teachings were nothing. Right? They were that. They were the boat to get across the lake. The only one that mattered is the Prajna Paramita mantra, which is gone beyond, gone completely beyond. Which is obviously not a teaching and not a practice. That it all came together in that. It's the emptiness of it all. All of these teachings are empty. That is, they have no objective existence. They're momentary. They're for the moment, and then they disappear. If we recognize that all human knowledge is like that, wars would end, our politics would become reasonable. Everything. Right? None of these things are absolutely true. They're only temporarily useful. None of them are true, period. They're not truth. They're a perception that may be useful in the moment. That's it. Holding on to them, suffering. So, Fatima, so good to see you. Hi, Jean. If I have a desire, who does it belong to? Is it Fatima's desire or the desire of consciousness, channeling through the persona? Plus, why does the journey to its fulfillment hurt sometimes? Well, okay, first off, it's not your desire. It's not Fatima's desire either. I'm gathering from this that you're using the name Fatima to apply to the person, right? Fatima is a nice name, you can use that. But the sense of a person, right? Well, the sense of a person is a sense. It's a collection of thoughts. Do thoughts have desires? Does this cup have a desire? Right? I want to be a cup. Please make me a cup. I love when it's like, oh God, I don't want herb tea. I want my latte. Right? No, it's just the only thing that is aware of anything is the self, the one consciousness, the one, which means the consciousness that is speaking here is also the consciousness that's hearing it. It's because there's one. It's like space. We're all in the same space, right? There's no difference between the space here or over here, right? Here or in Germany, here in Poland, here or in San Jose. No difference in the space. It only appears that way when we put objects in it, but there's absolutely no difference to it. So the desire, take the position now, not of Fatima, which is just a creation of the mind. She doesn't even exist as an actual thing, just a collection of thoughts in a particular form. You take the standpoint of consciousness. Be consciousness right now. Everybody, just, okay, I am nothing but pure awareness, pure consciousness. And I'm perceiving all of these things. So a desire arises. The desire arises. Now, I'm pure consciousness. I'm not a person. So I'm not going to say my desire as opposed to your desire. It's just a desire has arisen. Period. That's it. Just like anything else. Just like the sun rose. Right? Just like, a little sprout pushed its little head above the soil as it's going to grow, because it's going to become a flower. Maybe, if the conditions are right? It's just following its natural impulse. So it doesn't belong to anyone. It is just a movement arising in consciousness, and consciousness has no sense of personal ownership. It's just pure experience. So the desire then arising without a person to grab control of and say it's my desire, just like everything else in the universe, has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's got a life cycle. It's got a karma. It's got a pattern that it's going to follow, right? And it may go all the way to completion, right, and fulfill itself and then disappear. It could be stopped anywhere along the line. It may not get off the ground, right? But there's nobody there to care, to say, oh, that's terrible, it didn't get off the ground, or it didn't, When, imagine you're in a garden, right, and seeds have been planted in this garden, and you don't know anything about what you don't even know what they are. You have no idea what kind of seed they're. It could be an apple tree, could be pumpkins, right? Could be ganja. You have no idea what it is, right? But you just know there are seeds there, right? And you have no particular sense of ownership with them. You the only thing you do is you pull the weeds, you water, put a little fertilizer every now and then. You sit back and you watch life happen. You have no vested interest in it. There's nothing that says, I want this to happen or I don't want to happen. You're simply witnessing life. Now, depending on the circumstances, the type of seed it is, the type of soil it is, how much rain it gets, the sunlight, this incredible complex mix of all sorts of things, that little seed will sprout. Maybe not. Maybe the conditions are wrong and it can't even sprout. Let's say it does, right? That's why suddenly a desire arises. And there's a little sprout there. Now, is there any guarantee it's going to continue all the way to become whatever it was supposed to be? No, absolutely not. As a loving gardener, there's only so much you can do, right? So much you can take care of, right? Right? You can, make sure it doesn't get Monsanto crap all over it, right? That's it. And then you just let it have its life. Just let it have its life. But there's no personal ownership in there. And if there's personal ownership, it's going to hurt. Because now you're trying to determine what its life should be. You've got cells in your body that their entire life, and remember, every cell in the human body, in every living creature's body, is itself a living creature. Right? It's a being, the little being in there, right? Every being has its life cycle. There are some cells in the human body, their life cycle is about 24 hours. That's it. That's their whole life. There's some critters in the ocean that their whole lifespan is about 3 hours. They're born, they mature, they reproduce, they die. That's it. Now, let's say we're looking at a cell in our own body that lives for 3 days. There are some, but that's their life cycle, 3 days. That's it. They're gone. They're replenished, of course. That's how the body stays. The body maintains a certain degree of continuity. Right? Now, would it do you any good to want that cell to live longer, or be upset that it's here at all? Do you have any vested interest in how it plays itself out? And of course, if conditions aren't right, it's not going to last that long, right? Too much toxicity, right? Too much alcohol, or too much bad stuff in the environment. Yeah, all of these things are a part of it. But if there's no personal attachment to it, that is, there's no person there to say, that's my desire, there's absolutely no suffering or pain whatsoever for the consciousness that's witnessing it. Which is why I can say with such confidence, realize that you are that consciousness and not the person, and suffering ends. Because all suffering is from identification as the person. The person doesn't actually even exist. This persona that is speaking now, the timbre of this voice, these particular gestures, the room it's all sitting in, it's all movements of consciousness. There's not somebody consciousness is speaking through. There's nobody at all. The one you think consciousness is speaking through, whispering in my mind, and then I'm saying it, is a projection of the sense of a person thinking they see another person over there speaking, and that God's talking, and then out comes this truth is talking, and no, it's not. No, there's nobody here. It's nothing but consciousness. The impulse, the thoughts, the form, the shape, the sound, it is all movements of consciousness, and there is no person at all. Person is a concept projected on it. It never had any existence whatsoever. How's that, Fatima? Love that hat in the picture, by the way. Mary, you're explaining the beautiful simplicity of just what is. Thank you. Love you too. Mary. Brent, to clarify, is awareness nothing other than what's appearing? And if this is awareness, we could lose the word awareness and it remains this. You don't need the word awareness. Awareness doesn't need to announce itself as awareness. To who? Who would it announce itself? Awareness is nothing other than what's appearing? No. Awareness is what is aware. Without that, nothing appears, does it? There must be awareness for anything to appear. Then you can ask the question of, well, what is it that actually appears? Well, the only thing there is. The awareness, pure being, absolute being, doesn't even need to know it exists. It doesn't need knowledge. It just is. It is what is. And always will be what is. Whether it appears or not, whether it expresses or not, whether anything manifests it or not, doesn't matter. It is not dependent upon any of that because it is just pure being. What appears that it perceives, which of course it can only perceive itself, arises out of itself. Out of this pure absolute awareness arises the sense I am, which of course that would be the first thing. Oh, I exist. Awareness doesn't need I exist in order to exist and know it exists, but out of it arises I am. And I am could not arise unless there was existence prior to it arising. There can't be an appearance of I am, the sense I am, the proclamation I am, without being there first. So out of that comes that. Out of I am is the world. I am is God. I am is the creator, or that out of which everything has come. Everything around you. Everything you see around me, around you, around the world is what? It is the declaration, I am, I exist. Existence, existence, existence. The awareness is you. Because who is aware of the existence, the I am, the I am? You. When I say you, I'm referring to the pure absolute awareness, not to the persona known as Branch or Liz or Mary or any of that. Are you following this? Awareness is just itself. It cannot be known. That is, it cannot be known as anything other than myself. Prior to even the thought myself. The sense that you exist is there. The sense you exist was there before there was any words or concepts or language. Before you had a word, I. You were there. That's everybody's experience. That's the pointer to the nature of reality itself, the ultimate. Mary says, I see that those teachings create more guilt, which is such a trigger for me. Yeah, it's time to stop looking in those teachings for anything. No, you've got a teacher. Just pay attention. Yeah, they've got nothing to offer you anymore. You're beyond them now, Mary. And yeah, they're always going to have set up a criteria, and that criteria is always going to be something you're going to fail. And the ones who look like they've succeeded, they're going to honor them, and all sorts of things. No one succeeded. No one. No one can succeed. The one trying to succeed is lost. It's dissolved. Even Buddha said, when I attained, he said, when I attained the great unparalleled enlightenment, I attained. So if he said that, I think we could pretty much accept it as being useful. Dominique, good to see you. I think you're new. I haven't seen you before. Namaskar, G. Other beings here. Namaskar to you. CM, hey GP, so glad you're live now. I needed to listen to you to calm down. This anxiety is taking control these days, and I'm like on a roller coaster. Good. So here's what I want you to do. The thought, anxiety is taking control, is a thought. All you can do is say, these feelings that have been labeled anxiety are present. Right? That's it. That's the truth. That's all there is to it. And of course, simultaneously, there is always the desire to be free. Right? So when you say it's taking control, that means there's a sense of a person there who wants to get rid of them but can't. That's not you either. The desire to get rid of it, and it won't go away, right? Because of course it gets fed by your desire to get rid of it, right? And the more you try to get rid of it and you can't get rid of it, the anxiety increases. Right? Instead, just be there with it. There's anxiety, and here am I. And I'm going to form no relationship with this whatsoever. Anxiety is here. Anxiety is present. What does that mean? Nothing. Anxiety is present. Okay? And then you put your attention towards the me that is aware of the anxiety. And you'll find your attention, got to get rid of it, and realize that impulse, that influence that keeps wanting to pull your attention back, that's the real culprit, not the anxiety. That's the real mischief maker. This is what everyone who's on this path has to come to see. It isn't the experience. It's this silent impulse to identify, take a position for or against the experience. And now you are lost in the illusion of a self and a world and suffering and all of it. Once you see that, it'll take a while to be consistently, there it is again. There, you'll see how this shapeshifter, the impulse to identify, the persona, just boom, 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 all over the place. It's everywhere. The moment you see it once, it's over here, right? The moment you see, oh God, I don't want to be that. Oh no, there's a judging thought. Oh, we're not going to judge now. Let's not be a judge. I'm not judging anyone. Boom, immediately it takes a different shape. you come to see it. It's subtle. It's more than subtle. It's silent and it's imperceivable by the mind. The mind cannot perceive it. Can't see it. It's too subtle for the mind. But not for you. There's nothing more subtle than you. You can perceive space, for crying out loud. So glad you're alive now. I'm glad I'm alive too. What do you mean by that? Hey, Dale, good to see you. Love the beard. Looking good. Thank you. Wow, 2 comments on my looks today. Jacket on here and stuff. I actually had to get a jacket taken in. Like 25 pounds over the last several months. Who knew? Long story in and of itself. Just put it in a bottle and sell it, right? 20 bucks. How do I do that? Right? No, please. But I had to have it taken in. Unfortunately, I had another jacket that they couldn't. It was actually too big. Somebody had given it to my son. Actually had it. There was too many alterations. So I couldn't take it in. So there's my little sideline for you all. Dale said, glad to hear your voice this Sunday. Hope everyone here is having a peaceful Sunday. Me too. Yeah, me too. And if you're not, let's look together to see where the culprit is. Because the nature of the self is peace. Absolute peace, which may feel weird, strange, even boring when you first experience it. Because the mind doesn't know what to do with it. The mind wants to be active. Give me something to do. Give me something to do. Here's the stick, yeah. Anne, hello, GP. Is it okay to take a stand as the I am with statements, for example, I am that which is aware of this experience, as opposed to what is it that is aware of this experience? It's perfectly fine to do that. Oh, I am that which is aware of it. But the question still is there, though. But then, what am I? Right? What am I that is aware of this experience? Remember, you get there by withdrawing attention from all the things that we were identified with. Right? And then we get to this place where it's like, well, okay, all that I can perceive isn't me. And as I mature, the levels, the subtlety at which things operate that I am now perceiving are also not me. And as each one appears, I get further and further distant from that. Now the question, what am I then? What is it? Right? Because self-realization isn't just I'm not that. Right? But it's not I am this or that. It's not a thing that I am, because that would just be another perception. So, what am I then, really? Right? What's the truth of me? And that becomes the deep desire. And that becomes so deep that it reveals all the subtle stuff that you're not, until there's nothing left but the simple, direct, overwhelmingly obvious that, oh, I am that absolute awareness. Yeah. Some say you should not, as it would be the personality making the statements. Thanks, Anne. I disagree. For some people, and maybe this is what they mean, but there's always nuances. It's not, it's not black and white. Some people, I'm not that, I am that I am pure Shiva being, almost like a mantra, and so it is almost hypnotic, the mind kind of, but I can tell that's not the case for you. You're just saying that, well, I am that which is aware of that. Whatever that is, right? I am that, obviously, because I'm the one that sees it, which is perfect. Yeah. So at that point, it's the same. What is it that's aware of this experience? Well, the answer would be I am, right? I'm aware of it. not something else. Awareness isn't this abstraction over there that's aware of it. I'm aware of it. So in fact, it's just a shortcut. Instead of going, what is it that's aware of this? Well, I'm aware of this. It's just, oh, I'm aware of this experience. I'm aware of this experience. So that experience, it has its characteristics. I'm not trying to tell it to go away. It could be pleasant, could be unpleasant, right? But whatever it is what it is. I'm not that. That's not who I am. But then you become aware. Well, you go, well, then what am I? What is this I? Because I've got these thoughts about what I am, but every one of those is a perception. So the question now becomes bigger and more alive. What am I then? And then what'll pop up is that very subtle, invisible, and silent sense of the person, right, wanting to take another shape. Wow, you're a spiritual being that's aware of this. It's going to want to have some concept of someone who is aware of that. But your increasingly subtle insight will notice that while it's not perceivable to the mind or the senses, it is perceivable to you. There's an energy here. There's a movement. There's something here that wants to make a person in relationship to this saying, I'm not that. Well, I'm not that either. The question keeps going into the heart. And at this point, for many, I think maybe not, maybe all, there should be a sense there of prayerful, right? It's like, wow, there's no way in the world I can figure out who I am. So I reach out through grace to the truth of being itself, to reveal itself to me as me. Because I can't just think I am the self, right? And yet I know that I am the self, but there seems to be all this contradiction. There is moments like that when it becomes the devotional path, the bhakti path. Right? It's just like, wow, I can't go any further. I'm not that. I'm not that. Oh, where to from here? Where to from here? And just put into the hands of the divine of grace. And I can tell you from experience, when you do that, a whole new level starts showing up, and it just keeps going until that sense of I am the self becomes increasingly a felt conviction, not just an intellectual knowing. The intellectual knowing is good. I'm not putting it down, but it deepens to the point where goes from, yeah, I see that, and the teachers tell me that, but now it's like, oh, there's more. It's the only thing left. I can't see me. I'm the only thing. I must be that pure awareness. I must be the self. Now that intellectual conviction there's more meat to it, and little by little it becomes more and more experiential. Right? Oh my God, I am that. And there'll be these moments of incredible freedom and opening. The aperture may close again, but it's like, I don't care. Okay, cool, great. I can keep going. Yeah. Even the difficulties that come up, the times when you feel like you've totally lost, you go, oh yeah, but I'm aware of the totally losing it. How can I lose it? I'm it. Right? And it just keeps going until there's just the person disappears for good. And you are that, you know that you are that, and you are the immortal you. And you realize you've always been that. It's nothing you attained. It's not esoteric knowledge. That it is what you have always been. How's that, Anne? Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Katie, you're very welcome. Roberto, Barcelona. Oh, what a beautiful city Barcelona is. When I was there, they had not yet. Actually, all the work on La Familia Secreta, the Sacred Family, the cathedral designed by Gaudet, they'd run out of money again, and there was no work being done. I was just so delighted when I found, oh my goodness, it's been finished at last. Now I want to go back and see it because it's kind of a shell and like, so I have to get back there to see how just so amazing. So, hey Ben, good to see you. Very helpful explanation. Good. Glad it was helpful. Excellent. Sylvia. Hello, Sylvia. And there's Jose from the Philippines. I guess it's pronounced Jose or maybe Jos. I don't know how you pronounce it in Filipino. Amir, how do you distinguish awareness from attention? Well, attention you're aware of, right? There's no attention without awareness. Right? But there can be awareness without attention. Happens every night when you fall into deep sleep. No attention, there's no objects, there's nothing, but you're still there. Still quite there. Yeah. And so, just if you can perceive it, right, then it's something you're aware of. And don't confuse it, because people really do confuse the awareness with simply the focus of attention. Right? You could think of it like attention's like a flashlight, right? And awareness is like the sun. Right? But our attention, because it is perceptually based, can only take in so much at a time. Right? But that is a limitation on attention, not on awareness. But what is attention reporting to? Right? Who's actually perceiving what attention has its attention on? Right? Well, that's awareness, obvious. Right? That's you that it's reporting to. And you can see how attention can open up, take in more things, and contract. Open and contract happens all the time. So there's no, it imposes no limitations whatsoever on awareness, because no matter where it looks, awareness receives it. It doesn't matter where it looks. If it expanded out to the infinite universe, it would be awareness that it was aware that it had expanded to the universe. Attention is not self-aware. Just like the flashlight, is it? You are. Is that good, Amir? Amir, goody. TA 2049 was in tech, but after getting into spirituality, I was getting away from this stream. My question: how to find a purpose and get a living out of it while being on the path? The purpose has nothing to do with what you do, but how you do it. Right? So I've done a lot of jobs in my life. Unbelievable amounts of job, and not glorious or glamorous ones, I assure you. Everything from janitor to mailman to cook in a daycare center and a roofer. And the list is very, very long of the jobs that I did, which because it took Grace a while to convince me, to show me that my destiny wasn't some great accomplishment as somebody. That wasn't my purpose. That my purpose was this, not the teaching, to know, because I didn't even consider being a teacher. That wasn't in the plan. But the purpose was to discover in this life who you really are, who I really am, who you really are. That's our purpose. That's it. That's the whole thing. Right? Now, if that's your goal, then everything you do will be serving that purpose, no matter what it looks like. Whether it looks like being a janitor in a shopping mall in the middle of the night, which are really weird, by the way, because nobody's there, everything's closed. Right? It's a very strange place to be. It almost feels haunted. Right? I didn't realize that yet. It would be several years before the reality of all of those meaningless, badly paying jobs was to put me in touch with something in me that could not ever be gotten from the environment, but once gotten, manifests itself in the environment. the character of what I do becomes dignified and beautiful because I did it. I bring qualities to it. It has nothing to offer me. So make freedom, spiritual freedom, of your spirituality, as you're discovering, the most important thing. And then everything you do, you see, how do I bring my expanding knowledge, my expanding creativity, my expanding compassion, gentleness, patience to this, however menial it may seem. And you'll find that things open. They do. They did for me. But then I would get very attached to them being open, and then it would close down again, because that was the lesson. I was here for freedom. Right? Somewhere along the line I chose that. I don't remember doing it. But I do remember when it became, oh no, this is what I'm here for. This is the only thing I'm here for. And it really did become conscious. Prior to that, it was much more grace doing it. It was my time. Right? It was my time to wake up, as it is yours. Right? And that process of awakening will transform your relationship to all the stuff of life. We will stop trying to get anything from the world around us, but we will begin giving ourselves to it, and it will become divine. It will become spiritual because you did it. I don't care what it is you do. I was mopping floor and vacuuming stairs in a shopping mall. I was shoveling snow in the parking lot of a 7-Eleven in the middle of the night. I mean, I was shipping, endless. Delivering mail at 20 below zero in Chicago. That was my purpose. It was fulfilling itself to bring me to my knees, basically, to bring me to the point where I was consciously willing to yield up that sense of the person, that sense of expectation about what life is supposed to be and how it's supposed to work out, until it's finally, it still pops up. Shouldn't it be like this, right? Shouldn't you have more viewers? Should we have more likes? And it pops up, right? And I go, no. This is exactly what it's supposed to be, because if it was supposed to be something else, it would be. Right? So this is it, right? And if that changes over the time I have left here, well, so be it. But that is not in my hands. Does that help, TA? Yeah. Let me know. It's a big one. I wrestled with that one for a long time. Yeah, I really did. It took me a while to get that one in order. Hello, Sylvia from Spain. Wonderful. Oh, so many places I want to get back to. I want to get back to Europe again. I haven't been to Ireland yet. Can you imagine that's me? Never been in Ireland. Good God, what's the matter with your son? So much dedication you have. Thank you. You're welcome, Hendrik. You're very welcome. Yeah, the body does get tired, but the spirit just, I just relish it. I just relish. I relish all of you. Every opportunity I have to point you towards who you really are. I can't turn it down. See, I'm already, 20 minutes over where I wanted to be. And, what you gonna do, huh? Right? I just know that when I'm done, my body's gonna need rest, right? It's not young anymore. It's not young anymore. Fortunately, built to last or something, because this thing just keeps, almost never have any health issues. It's pretty fortunate. There's other parts of my life that have never worked quite well, but this is like really been holding up. And I'm grateful, because I want to keep doing this as long as I possibly can. Yeah. In fact, I want to just drop over one day, right? That's it. Just, right? No periods of degradation or anything like that. Yeah. Fortunately, I'm not going to lose my hair. I love that. I love the fact that I didn't go bald. My sons are also very grateful to me, because they're not either. And they both would have by now. So, yeah, my oldest is going to be 50. My son is going to be 50 in December. It's like, gee, it's not supposed to happen. Atlassius. My nervous system seems to have been overwhelmed after years of non-duality, to the point teachers suggest I don't go on retreat because of the physical symptoms. What can I do now to heal my system? Oh, wow. Well, if this is happening, yeah. There's a lot of really shitty teaching on non-duality out there, I'm afraid. And a lot of it you can tell because it ignores your human needs. It ignores what you actually need. Now, I can't say whether you should go on retreat or not. I'm not a doctor. I can't analyze it. If it were retreat I would giving, we could just talk about it a bit. We could see what's really behind it. I'm glad you asked that question, because you probably have a lot of non-dual knowledge. Some good stuff, right? But the energy system, the healing, the emotional part needs to be healed. That's why I have a whole other channel on energy healing with using EFT. I work with people because I've seen a lot of it, just a lot of this kind of using non-duality to ignore my human needs, to basically suppress the suffering that's in the nervous system. So, I do have a forum. I call it the Self-Inquiry Sangha, which is a group. It's a subscription group that I do both. We do the non-dual inquiry, and then, if need be, we go into the emotional healing, because neither of these can be ignored. And when non-duality becomes too heady, it is yet another tool that the whole identity mechanism uses to suppress the material that needs to come up. And with the right guidance and the right kind of teaching about it, you create an inner space in which the stuff can come up and be healed and not make a mess. Now you get the flow between non-dual self-inquiry and emotional healing, and it keeps growing to the point where you don't need as much and eventually no more emotional healing. The self-inquiry is doing it all. But now it's not ignoring the circumstances. It's flowing with them. The stuff can come up, but it gets processed not as an energy pattern within the nervous system, but as the appearance of a sense of person attached to certain things. Same effect, but depending on where you are in your spiritual maturity, somewhere along that line, we're all there in this continuity. So, what can you do right this moment? You know what? I'm going to suggest, Lisa is here. At least I'm going to suggest that you, Lisa, could you put your email address, your own school email address in here? For anybody who would like to, who has questions like this. I can't answer it generally like that, because I've got symptoms, because I'm not really sure what needs to be addressed. I do private sessions on a sliding scale, so they're very reasonably priced. I even discount it more for people if they really can't afford it, because I'm here to heal, not to be rich, obviously. And I have classes, I've got programs, I've got other stuff. Probably the next week or two, I'm going to be doing another total immersion in EFT. It's also a training for anybody who wants to learn how to do it, but it's also just a total immersion, so you can immerse yourself in it without needing to know how to do it for yourself or somebody else. So I'll be doing it probably in a tapping open house. It'll probably be on a Saturday because I do this on Sunday. That will give you some insight to it. Also, send the message to, let's see if it's down there. Did you put it in there, Lisa? Maybe Lisa had to walk away. It's just Lisa at homeschool.co. Lisa at homeschool.co. And she'll get back to you first. There it is, down at the bottom. There it is. Oh, she did. Oh no, I put it in both places. Okay. Where did she go? She'll reach out to see if there's just something immediate, obviously, that can be done for you. But I've got lots of free content. If it's something some things I can that are general enough that I can do like a presence tapping or a tapping video on the tapping channel about that specific thing, which a lot of people find helpful. I do have to point out that some things, especially the deeper traumatic stuff, you need some interaction. Just tapping along with EFT videos on the on YouTube. Obviously, it can do quite a bit, but there's a lot of stuff that you really need somebody to help to guide you to create a space inside in you that's safe enough for the deep stuff to be healed, to be released. Right? Because remember, it's not safe for it. Right? And without some guidance and some and experience, you're not going to be safe enough for the system to release these energies, which is why it's holding on to it. But you can be with someone who is safe enough for that the two of you can do it together, and you can get that level of emotional freedom that is necessary. And then the non-dual inquiry will make a whole lot more sense. You begin to see how all of this stuff fits together, and how the human is it is the manifestation of the self. It's not separate from it. And the idea that it is separate from it is where all the suffering comes from. It's not. But you can't just know that. Right? The whole energy system, the whole body-mind mechanism needs to be brought back to the heart. It needs to be shown. It's safe. It's okay now. You're okay. You're safe. Right? You're valid. You're legitimate. You're good. You're important. You're part of the deal. You're not just a problem I have to get rid of. You are the very manifestation of life itself. And I am that life. So hopefully that's helpful for you. It is. So those of you who are interested in energy healing and the like, I have a whole channel devoted to it, at Tapping Channel. Just the @ and Tapping Channel on YouTube, and you'll see it all. So, sitting in the balance between being and doing. Oh, you like that, Lisa? There's my buddy Lisa, and Canada Sylvia. That's easy to forget. Yeah, it is, and that's we just keep remembering until we realize that even the forgetting and the remembering is being seen. And what you really are, the self, the absolute, does not forget and doesn't need to remember. As Muji put it so beautifully, he said, I am, before the idea that I could forget or the idea that I needed to remember were believed. So maybe that's fighting against the mind, yeah. And anybody here ever won the fight against the mind? Hands? I know I can't see them, but rhetorical. Nobody's ever won a fight against the mind. Again, as Muji said, trying to fight against the mind is like trying to fight the wind dressed as a kite. You can't. It feeds on the fight. It feeds on the conflict. Right? Ego feeds on conflict. You don't fight it. What's it going to do? It takes two to tango. Patricia, so good to see you. Missed you. Todd Sloan, we are one, a consciousness. And I experienced that when the desire comes. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, the desire is innocent. It's arising out of consciousness, has a life of its own. No need to attach, grab onto it. Sylvia, it makes sense the desire is there outside of a person, but then it materializes through a person instead of another, maybe because this person had the condition for it to manifest and suffer. So was there more to it? Yes. First off, there is no person. There's only the conditions. We project a person onto the condition. Right? So it materializes it materializes in those conditions, right? But that is a place where our sense of self can get very okay. Oh, so all I have to do is create those conditions, and right again, you've grabbed control of that desire. You've made it your own. You've made it your responsibility to make it happen. Like you're the creator of conditions. You're not. The person, the sense of a personal self, is created by the conditions. It is a projection on the conditions. Right? So you're not making conditions happen. Right? Let all of that go and fall back into you, which is aware of it all, which is not a creator or a destroyer. And you begin to see things as they actually are. Because conditions will always change. The ones right now, the condition seems, I'm sitting on top of the world. I got lots of money. Look at my relationship is wonderful. Guess what's going to happen? It's going to change. It's not stable. It can't be. It's in a state of change. And momentarily, it looks like to the mind, it's in this state. It's not. It's just merely transitioning to go back down again, to dissolve into nothing and come back. This is all what happens. But you are not the person. You're not the conditions. You are not your conditioning. You are that which is aware of it, which has never ever changed. It's the only thing that hasn't. And that thing happens to be you. Press late. Amen, brother. Amen to you too. Thank you for your answer. It's strangely satisfying to know there's no person named Fatima. And thanks. I just love huge hats. No. The name was given to the set of conditioning by people who projected a person onto the conditions. And it's okay. You can answer to the name Fatima. I answer to the name GP or Greg or Gregory or Dad or hey you or Baba. My granddaughters call me. I answered all those names. It's fine, right? That doesn't cause any suffering. Daryl, long time, younger every day, sending much love. Well, wow, 3 comments from my Luke in one time, in one sitting. I got to do this more often. Maybe I should do this every day. Yeah. show off my whole wardrobe. But yeah. Well, good to see you all. How y'all doing today? Insane pointers today. I guess that's a good thing, yeah. At Lisa, so good to see you. There's Lisa, Lifestyle Love Story. Good to see you, Lisa. Everybody's been wondering about her. Rocking the beard, GP. Still dropping nuggets of Fox. Oh man, so good to see. I saw my had coffee with my sister yesterday, and she said that she didn't like the beard. I was going to just shave it off. I do that periodically, right? So, but here it is. Now, so we know satsang is winding to a close because I'm talking about beards and beards and jackets and stuff like that. I actually do like nice clothes. Don't get much of an opportunity to wear them, but I like them. Thanks so much. That was helpful, Suzanne. Yay. Thank you, says G. Namaste, says Naveen. Yes, it helps all you say, says Ella. Wonderful. Good to see you, Ella. Hendrik. A little heart from Hendrik. Thank you from TA. If you come to Ireland or anywhere in Europe, it would be wonderful, and I'll be there. I've said this a million times before. I'll go anywhere where if I can cover the expenses. My expenses are low because my daughter-in-law works for American Airlines, and I can fly pretty much anywhere in the world for very, very inexpensive. So I can keep the expenses very low. I got to do it soon because she's getting close to wanting to retire. Yeah, if I can get a group together, and I can afford to get there, eat, maybe have a little bit left over for a latte when I get back. I'm willing to come. Yeah, I just don't have enough people, to be able to set something up and try to get people to come. I just, as you can see, I don't have that many followers or viewers and the like. So, but I'll come. I'll go anywhere. I'll go absolutely anywhere. Yeah. I am not tied down. Lesia says, thank you, very helpful. Yeah, I feel that. Thanks, man. You're welcome. You are very welcome. Thank you, G, for being here today. Great satsang as always. So much light. Dave and I, with profound thanks and appreciation from us both. Thanks, you guys. I don't know it's about you too, but there's candidates for awakening. Amir Golden Axe, if there's no I, then what is the I that realizes there is no I? Isn't realizing evidence for existence of an I? Beautiful question. Beautiful question. And boy, I wish I would have gotten this one earlier on. The whole self-inquiry revolves around this thought, this of I. I think going all the way back to the beginning of spiritual inquiry, this kind of spiritual inquiry, people noticed that everything in our existence that we refer to, right? This, that, he, she, them, you, and the like, we're all in relationship to I. And that the sense I was going to color everything. Because without I, there's no you, there's no it, there's no they, there's no them, there's no he, there's no she. That's why it's first person, because everything is in relationship to it. Everything's in relationship to it. We damn well ought to know what that is. That's been the whole inquiry. That is self-inquiry into the I. So what is it, the I that realizes? What is it that is realized? And how can you say there's no I? Excellent. This is where one wants to put their attention. Right? Okay. And when, teachers of note, all right, and even the big ones, like Ramana, say so, you kind of got to pay attention. Now, he put it this way. The I removes the I and yet remains the I. Now, if you look at it from the point of the infinite being, boundless, the one being, the only conscious awareness that there is, not different little consciousnesses or awarenesses running around, but one seamless, infinite, boundless consciousness, right, that is self-aware. That would be the only thing that could qualify for I. But of course, being the only one, no I would also be appropriate, wouldn't it? Because I kind of carries the weight of a you. So you'd have an infinite I, which would be the only thing, or no I at all, which is self, no self, right? Self being the Advaita Vedanta track, and no self being the Buddhist track. Right? That's how Buddha taught. There's no self, no I, no me, no you. There's just this infinite thisness. Right? So there is a sense of I that appears. Right? And that I, that sense, has all the thoughts and feelings and beliefs. Now, there's no conscious entity there, but it is the collection of thoughts and feelings and sensations and everything that see itself as separate, needing to get back to that which is, right? The I wanting to go home, realize the I. But that can't realize the I itself as the I, because it's not the I. It's just a bunch of thoughts. And so, as Ramana points out, the I is always self-realized. Now, that has to be the case. Self-realization cannot be a moment in time, because if it is a moment in time, if it's something that happens, it has a beginning and it will have an end. So it's absolutely pointless for us to pursue it. Right? Don't go after enlightenment if it's going to be something you get and then lose. Right? Which a lot of people have that experience. I got it and then I lost it. It's not actually accurate. So enlightenment, self-realization, awakening, Buddha realization, whatever you want to call it, God realization, must be here and now. And the realization is you never weren't that, and you never not knew it. And that the I that felt separate and thought it needed to get back to it was the illusion projected out there, and the believer of it was also the illusion projected out there. It arose quite naturally out of the sense I am, which created the universe, and an individuality within the universe that forgot who it was. That was never the true I, that's always been aware of all of it, watching this whole thing play out. This is the self's dream that it was never taken into, and it has always known itself as being separate from it and has been watching it, which you're doing right now. So there is no I that realizes. There is the appearance in the dream of an I that realizes it. That's the experience I have. We talk about Rama's enlightenment or Muji's enlightenment or Buddha's enlightenment or any of these kinds of things. What we're talking about is an appearance in the dream of awakening, right, which simply manifests the eternally awake self that's always there. Now, I'm not sure everyone got that, but I know at least some of you did, because I felt the impulse to say it. It's very subtle. It is very subtle, but it's true. Yeah. So thank you for that, Amir. And GM, I didn't know where GP is coming from. I have a feeling Gregory, yes, Gregory Paul, actually, is what it comes from. GP, Gregory Paul Walsh, that's my name. And Gregory is the most popular pope named. There are more popes named Pope who take Pope Gregory as their name than anybody else. because one of the meanings of Gregory is shepherd. It also means vigilant, it means watchman, and it means shepherd. So it's a good name, and I actually like it. I got shortened to GP, but I've been using Gregory much more of late, so you're free to refer to me like that, but only Sir Gregory. Let's be clear, you're not Master Gregory or something. Yeah. So, yep, it's Gregory. Your intuition was right. So what does your G stand for, GM? Ali, thank you, GP. I've been watching and absorbing what I can from the start of the stream. You are looking very vibrant lately. Keep doing whatever it is you have been doing. Well, this, what I'm doing. Yes, yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a really interesting last several months. Have been, including, I lost 25 pounds. It was quite a dramatic thing that's happened over my last 6-7 months. Amir says, that makes sense, but it's kind of insane. Yeah. It's paradoxical. But once you see it, it's going, yeah, of course, it's obvious. Just accept the fact that if self-realization was something that happened, it would be something that would stop happening. It would be an event like every other event. It must be eternal, which means it's here now. Which means self-realization isn't self-realization the way we think about it. And the realization is the realization that the self was never not realized. Matter of fact, Ramana even said the biggest obstacle to self-realization is believing that you're not self-realized. There's this imaginary person that has been identified with, and the one who identified with the imaginary person is also imaginary, that is seeking. So the seeker of enlightenment is also imagined, being watched by that which the seeker is hoping to become. But what happens is the seeker disappears. Again, as Muji put it, he said, the I that starts the one who starts the inquiry does not finish the inquiry, but is finished by the inquiry. And as the Sufi mystic Balyani put it, God takes the last step on the journey that never happened. And on that note, I will say hello to Ida, love to Lisa, and love to all of you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to teach. Because what's a teacher without students? Kind of pointless, Hey, wall. No, it'd be like just, talking for nothing now. So I need you as much as you need me. We need each other. So we're all together. Love to you all. Till next time.